Hello, everybody. Um, well, first, welcome to another episode of Better You Life Coaching. And for this one, I kind of want to have a bit of a candid conversation. So, one of the biggest things that I've been proud of at least in my life recently, was in 2019, 2020. I got diagnosed with diabetes. At that point, I was the heaviest I had ever been in my life, which was approximately 292, 293 pounds. And the prognosis that I got from the doctor was, one, at that point I was full-blown diabetic. I would need to be on insulin, which would include injections, which for those who don't know me, I have a trypanophobia. I'm probably badly mispronouncing that, but that's the I guess you would say clinical term for fear of needles. So going to the doctor can be really rough when they want to stick me sometimes, because my blood pressure is always up when I go to the doctor. But all that aside, 6 months later, after the follow-up, I didn't fill any of the prescriptions that they gave me. And the thing that I did was I went home, I prayed, and I asked God to partner with me, and that I was going to get after it. And by hook or by crook, I was going to get as many pounds off of me as possible to try to reverse that diagnosis and that condition. And thank God he came through. And when I went back for my follow-up, I want to say I was approximately like 240-ish or so. And I eventually got all the way down to my weight goal, which at that time was 200. I pushed a little bit further beyond that. And at my absolute lightest, I got back to 178, which at that point I felt a little light. So I began lifting a little bit to bulk and try to put some muscle on my frame. But in the subsequent years, one of the things that's kind of happened is, especially recently as of late, with a lot of the life changes that have been happening for me, I let myself go. And as of last week, I was 200. I stepped on the scale and I saw I was 246 pounds. And everything has been screaming at me, and I've been kicking the can down the road and saying, tomorrow, I'll do better tomorrow. And the thing was, I recently decided that no, tomorrow never comes. We do today. And one of the things that I want to bring you all along with is this weight loss journey of mine. So what I did was, I feel it's important for me whenever I undertake big things to make sure that I have my resolve still and discipline. So I fasted for 3 days this past week, to not for religious purposes, but just to, one, prepare myself for the work ahead, and to steel my resolve, and partially to prove that I still had that determination and willpower. And even from just that short time fasting, I feel marvelous. And even in my face, I think from the last couple of videos where I was present to now, I think if you put them side by side, you will see some slight but noticeable differences. Like since I wasn't consuming sugars, my face is a little less puffy and flushed. But along with announcing this, what I'm gonna do is every week to 2 weeks kind of let you all know where I'm going and what my progress is, and share some tips along with it to hopefully help some of you all that want to be the best version of yourself physically. As of this morning, I'm at 234 pounds and losing. My goal for March is to get down, as we're at the 12th right now. So my goal is to hopefully get down to about 225 by the end of March. And my goal ultimately is to get back to 200 pounds by summertime. And the time frame I've set for that is, I think that's achievable by May, late May to early June. So we'll say June 1st. So one of the things that I always get asked when I share with folks that I do fast, and I'm a big proponent of fasting in general for a myriad of reasons, beyond the physical, but for the spiritual as well, is how do you fast and how do you follow through with it? So it's kind of two big things. One is, I feel you can make a fast easy or hard on yourself by how you go into it. And what I mean by that is this: sugars fuel your hunger. And one of the things that I sometimes do before a fast is, especially if I'm going for a prolonged period of time, like a week or something, yeah, I'm gonna stuff myself with those indulgences, but I also know the repercussions of the other side of it and what I'm setting myself up for. If you want to go into it with as little hunger pangs and sensations as possible, I would recommend things that are relatively low in sugars, especially artificial sugars in general. So I would say lean meats, leafy greens as a final meal before actually going and starting your fast can be a good way to ease your body into it. I really wouldn't recommend sugary things like desserts and candies and whatnot. This simply because of the nature of them. They spike our insulin and they spike those cravings. And because of that, that's why when we eat a lot of sugary snacks, it's like snacking begets snacking. And we end up, just a piece of two turns into, the whole bag, or now you're at the store getting 2 more bags, and so on and so forth. And you just find yourself eating and snacking subconsciously to satiate that appetite that has been stoked by it. One thing I would also say is be realistic with yourself and your time frames. If you've never done a particular fast before, like in terms of like what I was just saying, when I did 3 days, it was water, and I allowed myself unsweetened teas. So water, it was a lot of green tea, Bigelow green tea, and herbal teas and things like that, unsweetened. And some of the things that I also do a little bit is, if I'm going for a prolonged period of time, as in several days, one thing I was unaware of previously when I would fast is I would get really lethargic and whatnot, and some of that's to be expected. But if you put a little bit of, one of the reasons for that is your body begins to run low on iodine, and we get iodine from salts. So sprinkling a little bit of salt, and granted, you don't need more than I think it's like a tablespoon in a day as far as your recommended salt, which I've never done a full tablespoon, but taking just a pinch, mixing it up in your water, and guzzling that down. Some people also do some extra things, like consuming apple cider vinegar mixed in their water, as well as citrus like lemon, And there's benefits to that because it also helps your body burn fat. So if you're fasting for health purposes and to lose that additional weight, those are some things that can help your body accelerate the burn. Third thing, naturally, a lot of people want to kind of maximize their burn when they're on a fast, if they're fasting for health purposes. And they'll be like, yeah, I want to hit the gym and I'm gonna do my same workout routine and everything. And that can be setting yourself up for failure in this regard. Exercising while fasted can definitely lead to greater burn and greater loss in terms of weight and caloric deficit. The other thing of it is similar to sugars. That workout, when your body gets worked out, it's using up its fuel. And especially if you're doing certain, such as resistance workouts with weights and whatnot, you're breaking your muscles down. And you have to think, you aren't taking anything in to replenish your muscles. You're only really taking in water, maybe some teas, maybe some citrus. So you're getting some nutrients as far as if you're using some of those other things, maybe a multivitamin, but you aren't really consuming food. So because of that, there's going to be a substantial lack of protein coming into your body for your body to build itself back up. And one of the things that I learned the hard way was that can be a really bad idea especially if you go hard in the gym. I was able to go hard when I did the first time I exercised while fasting. I did a 7-day fast, and it was about day 3 into it, going to the gym. I realized, nah, I could not do it. First day felt relatively okay. Second day is like, I'm dragging. Third day, my muscles were screaming at me, and they weren't able to build themselves back up. So I did my workout that third day. I skipped Thursday, skipped Friday and Saturday, and Sunday, was when that evening was when my fast was set to break. And it wasn't until I consumed something again that my muscles began to recover, so to speak. And normally recovery is not really a thing for me. Most times I go to the gym, I hit it really hard, I'm sore maybe a day and a half, and I'm good. But this was a nagging ache that was present in my muscles, and especially when I did back workout, I had a tired back, which was something that really made me miserable. So if you're going to work out during a fast, things that I would kind of more so encourage a person to do it really lightly if this is their first time. But also, you might want to limit your cardio, because cardio is something that can spike appetite. You want to do it and kind of pace yourself in a manner that you don't want to go in and be done, and now your body is screaming at you to consume. Because if you're going to see it through, that's going to make it so much harder, because you already are fighting your body and its natural urges doing that first day or two. And then my final tip for successful fasting would be this: you have to set your time frame and be realistic with yourself. So like, if you've never fasted before, being like, I'm going to go 14 days with nothing but water. Nah, bro. But to say like, you know what, I've never done this before, I feel like I can make it 2 days. Yeah, that's legit. And for a prolonged fast, I would say like that are, for me, prolonged is anything 3 days or more. Know this: it gets so much easier after that first 24 hours. That first 24 hours is where it's kind of like you and your body are in this tug of war, and it's going to send you all kinds of signals and urge you to eat. And if you can make it through that first 24 hours, most times you're going to be good, because those hunger pains are not the same afterwards. Honestly, you really probably won't feel hungry very much after that, oddly enough. Most times when I've fasted, the hunger is, unless I'm getting like over 7 days or so, the hunger comes from the psychological factor of it, to where your body is, in your mind at that point too, is screaming like, yo, we haven't put nothing in our face. This is not right. And that kind of becomes the challenge there, especially when you have friends and whatnot that like to go out, and you're being invited, you're being included in things, but depending on your willpower, sitting in a restaurant while everybody else is eating, drinking, and partaking in certain things may not be the best. That can be like torture for you. But yeah, I wanted to get this one out and say my piece here, and that I hope that these tips helped or gave somebody some insight or inspiration in some way. And share your thoughts, like, comment, subscribe. If you have questions for me, definitely post them down in there in the comments. Shoot me an email if you feel more comfortable doing that. Weight loss is something that is very near and dear to me. I want everybody in my circle to be healthy, and if you're one of my subscribers watching this, and you want to lose a couple pounds, like, I hope this helps give you a little bit of insight into one of the ways you can do it. So thank you, peace, hope you all have a great weekend.